And so like, I think of myself as having missed a lot of the big games. Like I've never played Chrono Trigger. And so every time somebody says Chrono Trigger is their favorite game, I just smile and nod. Like I've never played it. So there's all these games. Like I constantly in gamer conversation feel like I'm missing gamer cred because of the amount of time I've dedicated to multiple MMOs. But compared to somebody who's like truly an expert in one MMO, a lot of times like I've still played way more games than them. And so like that tends to make me more middle of the road. And you're over here, you're get to consume a lot of games. So like I can understand not wanting to sacrifice what could be dozens of titles for progress in one.
I legit just play a lot of single player. So I could see myself sitting down with like Final Fantasy 14 just for the story and enjoying that aspect of it. And I would like to. Like I had it installed and I think I just offloaded it onto an external because the 1 terabyte of space is not nearly enough.
No, it's not for sure. Not at this generation of consoles with 300 gigabytes for Call of Duties.
Right.
Like, come on.
That was Nice Guy Prince. Is a single player who consumes 14.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like I see him drawn to single player games.
The what's going to be interesting is because Chrono hits on a good point. The lack of a subscription is going to make New World way more inviting, assuming they have a really good launch. The next thing they have to do after their good launch is they have to follow it up with quality content, because that's going to set saying, yes, the reason why we were bare bones going up to this is because we were working on this system, and then boom, next patch, you get your content, boom, next patch. And if they can deliver on that, that's when they're going to start building, rebuilding that trust in the game. It's going to expose it to a bunch of new players. And I think the real thing that I'm interested to see what happens is that they decide to go with this. But if they do decide to partner up with Game Pass and or PlayStation Plus, and all of a sudden it's like, you don't even need to buy the game. You can just play it because we're going to monetize you once you're in, but that still acts as that barrier. So it keeps it from going into the free to play category. I think that will be really interesting to see if that has they'll have an impact on the population for sure.
I'm just thinking this will need. Sorry, Karen.
I was gonna say if they don't at least go the full on PS Plus or Game Pass like inclusion for the base game or full game or whatever, they'll at least do some perks or some kind of something. Because the Game Pass perks, like there's a lot. Phantasy Star Online 2 had like a monthly drop of just premium items that would help you move a little more forward in the game. And then you just see it every month. There's just some other service game that gets a pack. So they should at least go that route with as big as this is looking to be.
Yeah. Before we jump into 20 questions, you guys got any other thoughts? Go ahead, Chili.
I was going to say that just made me think, because New World will be sold, right? It's going to be a buy to play.
Mm-hmm.
That means that unlike Fantasy 14, it will require PlayStation Plus. Final Fantasy 14 does not require PlayStation Plus because it's a subscription-based service.
Mm-hmm.
And Sony's contract is the fact that if your game is subscription-based or free-to-play, then it does not need PlayStation Plus. So that means that you will need PlayStation Plus for New World.
It's the same for Xbox.
Which is
and New World will require, Game Pass to be able to play for sure,
which is interesting. And by the way, Fantasy 14 also gives you a free teleport. I know that's not much, but if you have PlayStation Plus and you have Fantasy 14, you do get a free teleport. But what's interesting though is the fact that the free teleport only works on the PlayStation version of the game. If you play on PC, from what I've heard, you do not get that free teleport.
I really wish they would just start
I don't know if that's true or not, because I don't play PC
across all of these multi-platform releases. Like it's kind of like the WoW perspective where they're allowing all this cross-server stuff. The whole idea of the servers is such a legacy thing that just has stuck around. Now we're looking at platforms, and I mean, it's like if a VCR didn't play a certain tape all of a sudden. It's like, look, all the consoles are doing, a PC included, they're all playing the same, they're running the same game. It's like all this legacy locking behind platforms just feels like an archaic system that they either don't want to spend the time to develop the fix for, or maybe it's so ingrained that taking on the task is just like not even in the books.
That's a great parallel, right? If you were middle of the DVD watching on your TV, and then you took a road trip and you have a TV in the backseat of the car, you have to put the DVD in, and then you have to select the chapter where you were.
Mm-hmm.
But now, like if I'm watching TV while eating lunch and then I want to get up and do the dishes, I can turn off the TV, turn on my phone, go to the streaming app,
Right.
and it will pick up exactly where I left off. I can push the back button for 15 seconds or whatever,
Yeah.
And rewind it just a little bit. That's effortless, and then off we go. And so, or if you change locations, you're going to the airport or whatever, you pick up right where you left off.
Right.
And that's what I expect from my games. Like, I don't want to have to rewind the tape to put it in a different VCR. I want to just pick up where I left off.
Yeah, and that's where like cloud saves have been really cool. It's just with these multi-platform games, they really gotta, and it's really on the devs and the publishers that are backing them to build those systems in, or at least integrate with each platform's cloud save system. But I mean, there's got to be like a global like step forward in that regard.
And it's not because I'm not willing to fast forward, but it's if I get to my seat at the airport and I have 15 minutes until it's time to get in line to board the plane. If I have to put the DVD in and then watch the 10 pre-roll ads and then get to the menu and then select a chapter select and then go to my movie, and then I'm actually halfway through that chapter, so then I'm trying to rewind or fast forward to get to the right spot and then push play, it's not worth it for that 10 to 15 minutes, as opposed to I can hop right back into that.
Right.
Joy.
Competition is key in that regards, because and this is the same thing like what I've said about Destiny 2, is that if you're going to be a looter shooter, that's going to try and no matter what draw parallels to what Destiny is doing, but you don't have cross-play, cross-progression, you're not going to succeed, even if you are the better game, because people are just going to be like, well, it's me and my friend group. Like we're already established. You're making it way too hard for these. Actually, you're adding in more requirements that aren't over here. I'm going to probably take the path of least resistance. I've made that same argument about like Horizon. I was sitting down to play Forza Horizon, and it's like, oh, you need a 30 gig update. I was like, I guess I'm not playing that today because I only had 15 minutes. And so then I'm like, well, I'm going to go play something that I can boot up, put down in 15 minutes and call it a day, which Horizon can be that. But whenever it has those kind of massive updates, that's where it's like, all right, but now it's in the cloud. So now I just boot it up in GeForce Now, which is like, all right, call it a day. This is great.
Rewind 2 years, and you were talking about little babies in the house and how you were having trouble playing 14, but you were able to play these other games that could consume those little moments of time. And that's where I'm at with this amount of running. I do have 2 or 3 hours to play games in a week, but it's not 1 2 or 3 hour block.